How you doing, Luke?
Hey guys. Hey.
Th- Thanks for
Afternoon.
joining.
No, it's all good. Afternoon even. I was going to say
Yeah, well, it's evening for you.
evening.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
I literally just got in. Sorry.
oh, good. So, my name is Renee with Metal and Metal Out. Do a podcast, and I got a website. So, what I would like to do is interview bands about what they got going on, and of course, listening to your album Mirrors. I mean, it is just it's pretty amazing. I mean, to put it shortly.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I guess, does this seem like a surprise to the band? Because, I mean, I've been seeing articles to where it's like contender of the year. I mean, everybody's talking about Pupil Slicer. It's like, holy shit. I mean, you put out this album, it's like all of a sudden, here's all this attention. I mean, it's got to be pretty jarring.
Yeah, it's not something we would have anticipated. We were like, cool, like people in the scene, we like the mathcore scene. Hopefully, some of them will check it out and be like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." That's the most we hoped for, and we're getting like all magazine features and reviews saying it's like one of their albums of the years, and it's like, but it's just that album I made, you know. That's just the bit that we're just like a bunch of mates having some fun. What's going on?
Yeah, I'd second that. It's been quite overwhelming and very unexpected, but of course, well received. I guess one of the main points is most reviews say I can't wait to see what Pubicisa are going to do on their second album. So I think we're already feeling the heat a little bit of the expectation to deliver uh, another banging album.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, and it's weird how a lot of people think that way, but we still need to absorb this album you just put out.
Yeah, everyone's already like, where's the second one?
You're like,
yes.
yeah, you're like, just wait, absorb this one, because even myself, as I've been listening to, because I think yesterday I must have listened to it at least three times, and every time that I listen to it, I pick up something different. So it's not something it's accessible, but it gives a lot, and each time that you listen to it.
I'm glad
Yeah,
that you had a great experience listening to it. And it changes when you hear it and you hear more things in it as you dig into it
I
more.
think it's because we did try to take a lot of care over each individual section in every song and make sure there is like there's always something interesting happening, and that means like when you're listening through it once, you get the general gist of it, and then each time, hopefully, you can like you'll hear something new and something and be like, oh, that's sick, and then you that gets added to what you know about the song, and there's always more. Because that's a lot of my favorite music. It's like that where like Converge albums are like that where you'll listen. Oh, they're doing like a weird phaser effect on this guitar, and like I never noticed that before, and it's just something that makes it really interesting to listen to.
Yeah, it's
Layers of detail.
yes, it definitely gives, as a fan, something that can last over time. Like you mentioned, going back to Converge albums or any other favorite bands, to where sometimes you may listen to it in a different state of mind and you actually pick up something different at that point.
Yeah.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. Now, is there any specific reason that you wanted to decide on this album as Mirrors?
Yeah, I think that's sort of just indicative on two fronts. It's like um, one, it's quite an introspective album. It's quite like personal to me, but at the same time, it is sort of like a twisted mirror on like problems with society and stuff as a whole. Uh, and then also we had the track title "Mirrors More Fun Than Television," so I was like, we might as well use the first word from that you make that the title track. It was a pretty cool song. I liked it, so sort of works on three levels.
Yeah. Now, even I was looking at the album cover. Even that's interesting. Did you already have an artist in mind when you were looking at album covers, or did the record label come in and say, "Hey, look, we have these options to pick from"?
No, that was all on us before. When we went to the record label, basically everything was done. The album was made. We had a cover for it. We half done like packaging ourselves. Like I did all the vinyl packaging myself. So like it was all very much us in complete creative control of it. But the artist that did the cover was one of Luke's mates, and he did the cover for our last split as well with Sense Offender, and he just sent us this like collage one day and was like, "Oh, you might like this to use on like a future project," and he sent that to me and Josh and Luke, I think, and we were all just like, "That's the one. There's our album cover," and it fits with the themes. I think 'cause it's like weird. It's like jarring. It's got like the cuts through it, but it's also like it's like yeah, there's a lot of elements to it. So it's like warlike, but and it's very grimy, but it's got like a glitchy edge to it. And all I did to the cover was put the white box on it and the text.
Yeah, the artist in question, his name is Nick Povey. I used to play in a gent band with Nick. He's a great drummer, and he does a lot of collage work. But yeah, he also makes electronic music. So in the round, he Nick is a very creative person, and he also did the single artwork for
Oh yeah.
Let Us Know Who Did, which we put out. And maybe Nick will do some more artwork. Yeah, thank you for the compliment, and I feel it captures the record well. And yeah, I'd encourage other people to go and check out Nick Povey's work, and hopefully he can use this as a platform to hopefully get to get some more artwork and some extreme metal albums.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you're right, like you mentioned, Kate, is that album work fits almost perfect with your style of music because you have a different blends of elements of different genres to where you're mixing it together and it's very visceral.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one of the interesting things or something even myself as a fan of music or even, other fans of, maybe wondering whether if you want to take this question, one at a time, when you come into composing music, do you just have sets of ideas or do you build off of one idea? Whether if you're gonna, I guess we'll start with you, Kate, when you're writing a guitar riff.
Um, I think a lot of the album is like there was no one way writing these songs. Like a lot of the songs were sort of I'd through compose, do the whole thing, and then write drum parts and bass parts as well to go with it. And then the song was done, and I gave it to the others, and then they put their own embellishments on. And then a lot of the songs were a bit more sort of one riff at a time. I'd jam that riff with Josh, and we'd try and find drum parts that work with it. I'd record those on my phone, set the drum parts, tab out the drum parts with the guitars, and then rearrange them, and then make songs out of these chunks of songs that we'd composed together. So there's a lot of different, and then there were some songs which started with like a drum part first, and then I'd write some guitars over the top of that, and then I'd fill that in. I'd connect that up with something else I'd been working on, and it sort of all added together. So there's like no one way we approached it. We're still trying to figure out how to write really.
Yeah, there is no defined, streamlined, repeatable process we're using at the moment for composition, but maybe by album three,
We'll have figured something out.
yeah, we'll have maybe by album three we'll have that down to
Well, we're trying to
quite
get it more sort of all of us involved. There was a lot of tracks on this one which were just me doing everything, and then there was certainly a lot of like I'd run a track past Luke when it was done and be like, "What do you think of these riffs?" And Luke was like, "Well, bit boring there. You make it Mafia." And like I remember that specific section of Martin's. It's like 30 seconds in or something, and I was like, "Well, Mafia, sure." Just like randomly hitting notes in the tab program to try and make something with a cool sounding rhythm. And I did, and now that's like the hardest part to play on the album. I really regret it.
To give
But
an
it sounds cool.
honourable mention to the contributor of the Gent Simulator.
Oh, the
Um,
Gent Simulator as well, yeah.
yeah, so we just pump in and it manically pumps out binary riffs. We can then translate.
Yeah, the
Um,
main riff on Mirrors was generated using an online riff generator, so very creative.
we are true savants.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's good though, because it, the way that whether if it's a writing style or not, this kind of gives you pretty much makes you limitless to where your composer can take any form.
Yeah. Yeah, we were.
Apart from if I send over some thrash metal riffs, I don't know that they would make the cut. But
We
I'll
sent
keep
them
trying.
like a 14-minute funeral doom song, and I'm not sure if that one's making the cut, but
Yeah,
next time.
to be fair, yeah, no, Kate's right. I did send like a Bell Witch type thing, and it was the feedback was, yeah, I don't know, this is the right vibe for the release, and it's about half as long as the entire album, Luke. So maybe we'll come back to this another time. So maybe there'll be a Bell Witch funeral doom epic, an album 3 that's well written too.
Yeah. Or it can
Right.
maybe be released as a single.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep
yeah.
destroying massive volume.
Yeah. I guess, one of the things that when you're, I guess, putting together, you were saying how you are able to write bits and pieces and then come back to make somewhat, I guess, a song or construct a song with it. Does that make it difficult to where you have to think about when you're going to play live?
Oh, what do you mean?
Like, when you're constructing the songs, if maybe you mentioned one part of one song was a little made it kind of difficult to play. Does that make it a little bit hesitant as to how complex maybe the song may get to where it transitions easily live?
Yeah,
Well,
we haven't played that song live.
I mean, I'm wearing a Dream Theater t-shirt, but I don't know that we're at the levels of that technicality yet.
We're
Hopefully in
trying to
time.
learn all the songs. Yeah, there's definitely like a third of the album we haven't played live yet. But that's not out of like that. That's just because we've been like learning song. We've been learning pretty much all the album songs as we've been writing them. So like the ones that were last to be finished are the ones we haven't played live. So like, um, we've played all of them live except for Martyrs, Panic Defense, Vilified, and Interlocutor. So there's pretty much all of them that we have done live. So and Collective, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna try and get them added to the repertoire, and I think it'll be very different as well because we've been playing some of these songs for like 3 years. So it'll be very different playing them now the album's out because people will know them. Because at the moment, the feedback at live shows is not many people come to see us. We usually only get a big crowd if someone's seeing another band after us. But most of the feedback we do get when people come to see us is like, "Oh, that wasn't anything like what you've got online," and I'm like, "Yeah, because it's all from our unreleased album. Now the album's out, so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if the response changes, or if people come to see us. Maybe some people will want to come and see us now."
Yeah, we'll go from 10 to hopefully 25 to 30, and we'll be rocking.
Yeah. As long as it goes up.
As long as it's going up, yeah.
Yeah.
By album 3, we'll have like 50 people watching us.
Yeah.
And then we're golden.
Yeah. I guess you briefly mentioned, I guess some of these songs you've already had and you've been working on for a few years.
It was less working on. I think they basically didn't change since they were finished and we learnt them live. That was like learning them live is the point at which we're like, this song's done. Now we learn it. Because the songs are so complex, you can't really afford to learn it before it's done, because then you'll get muscle memory of like rhythms incorrectly. And so much of playing these songs is muscle memory in terms of rhythm and like really complicated parts that the song has to be done before we learn it live.
Right.
So it's sort of like half the album has been like written for like 3 years. I mean, I finished writing the album overall in 2018 in like October. I think that's when I finished writing Collective. So yeah, it's been done. We've been sitting on it for a while. It was out when I'd finished writing it when we released our last split, but I at that time we almost didn't even release that split because I was like, the album songs are so much better, but we've got these two songs we've been playing live for ages. And then Luke was like, well, we can't just throw them in the bin. They're like decent songs. So we ended up going to a studio for a day just to record them. And got them out and then started working on the album.
Yeah.
It's worth saying, Kate, that on the whole muscle memory part, I've been relearning some of the songs which, because of lockdown, we haven't jammed for a long time, obviously, like many bands. And my muscle memory on some of them shot. I'm telling you, like, and I'm relearning some of them, just starting from ground zero and starting them at like 50% speed, getting back to muscle memory. So, to your earlier question of how does it translate to playing live, with much practice individually, and sometimes more than as a group, oddly enough, because as you say, it's so dense at times that, in a way, the individual practice sometimes is more important than the group practice, because if we're all on point individually, then it's just like assembling the Megazord, and then we just play like badass mathcore. But
it's like just the combiner Destructicons coming together to form.
yeah. But otherwise, without that, you know, there's not much hiding to be done by the instrument. Really,
if someone's out like one semitone, the whole song's screwed at that point. So
I mean, I've found in the past, you know, when we've played, that you mess up one or two notes, and then by the time that you've realised that you've messed them, you're already two sections ahead, and then you're a little bit lost. So yeah, practice.
Yeah. Now, I guess I'm assuming when you're playing live right now, you're not playing, or not that there's any shows, but when you were playing live, you weren't playing to, say, a click track. It's all raw and live.
Yeah, we don't. We're not very good with technology, to be honest. We're not a very gear-heavy band, so like, we wouldn't know how to set up a click track or electronic stuff live. We've got like a sampler pedal for like interludes and stuff, but we're very like DIY. Just hit our instruments very hard and practice a lot to make sure we're in time with each other. There's still a lot of like, you have to look at each other to make sure you like know everyone's on time for the same parts. A lot of coordination, but yeah, we don't use a click track live. We just we wing it, and it seems to work. We practice enough that it does.
Well, that's good though.
No, it is, and it's nice to have that like raw connection. And as Kate said, like just sort of giving the look when it's time to drop. But we have discussed, you know, potentially in the future having maybe getting some lights sequenced. So to do that, to live out our Meshuggah fantasies, with some crazy light show, we would, as you say, need to play some. And I would say though, playing to a click,
it wouldn't even make much of a difference because like Josh is like a click on his own. Like we when we were recording the live parts for the Lapel David video, because we were just recording gigs for like no reason, just so we'd have footage towards the end of last year, and what year is it? No, the end of the year before last. Has been a pandemic for a year. But those 30 parts we'd recorded, I sent them up to the song because we were just getting footage to make the music video, and he was pretty. The song was like exactly the same, like when he'd played it without a click in timing with the recording, the studio recording. So we were like, oh, cool. So it wouldn't make much difference. We seem to be pretty on with tempos and everything just from like knowing the songs. So props to Josh on that one for being able to keep the tempo.
Well, there you go. You got your own click.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Now, for you, Katie, lyrically speaking, it seems like a lot of the songs are very personal and very angry and very visceral. As at any point, when you were writing these lyrics, do you think maybe you shouldn't add something too personal, or are you just like, screw it, I'm gonna write what I feel and I'm gonna put this out there?
Yeah, there was a point where I was like, I was like, should I release the lyrics to the album or not? I'm making these too personal now. But I was like, screw it. I'll worry about that later. So I just was like, I'm just gonna do whatever I can to write as personal and like emotional as possible to get the best performance I can when I'm tracking it, and then figure out. But at this point, I'm like, oh, I wrote this ages ago. Like, it doesn't bother me as much them
You
going
didn't
out.
think
So
anyone would be asking you about the lyrics, right?
yeah, I didn't think anyone would ask
You
us.
didn't think
Like,
you had to
I
explain.
didn't think anyone would care. I
Yeah.
said no one's ever gonna look at these. So, and then like I look on YouTube, and there's like a 15-minute dissection of someone trying to like find how the album's like a concept album about the evil of humanity, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy. That's not what I wrote, but that's sick that someone thought that. Like, I did try and write a vagueness where you could pull your own meaning from it. I still tried to maintain a level of that because I think a lot of the best songs are songs where you can do that like that. I'm sure there's my favorite songs. I'll listen to the lyrics, I'll gain my own meaning from it and think, oh, this is a really deep song. It really affects me. There's probably nothing like what the artist thought. So I think you have to have a level of like obscurity there in the lyrics where you can still generalize it to whatever you as the listener want it to be, because you're never going to know what the artist intended, and I'm not going to tell people what the songs mean. So
Yeah. But I guess that also has got to be a compliment, though, that somebody would go this far to,
yeah, it's
to
great.
interpret these.
I mean,
Yes,
generally speaking, like the as we sort of started the conversation on that note, it's some of the reviews and just stuff that people have said on social media or even sent directly to us. People are really looking into the detail of things and really absorbing the records, and it's a really amazing thing, really, to watch because so
they've
I feel
probably
yeah,
listened to it more than I have now.
yeah, yeah.
I've listened to it like
Um,
once since it came out. So I did all my listening like 2 years ago when I was writing it.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's on the next album we'll move away from introspective
Yeah, I've
uh,
no idea what I'm going
lyric
into.
to, I don't know, high fantasy, and we'll do 21. We'll do a 2112 next time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. What
But
about flying on wings of eagles and stuff?
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, this past year has given us plenty to ponder on it
Yeah,
and grab from, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
not a shortage of topics.
Yeah. So another thing that, would be nice to know, I guess, or questions to ask is, when do you think you might be playing live?
Probably like early 2022. I'm seeing is like the first possibilities. Like, there's a lot of people planning stuff for the end of this year, but like people have been planning stuff for the end of the following year for 2 years now, and it's never happening. So like, yeah, we're getting some stuff lined up. Our first gigs we've got officially lined up 2022. I mean, we've got a gig lined up for May, but 2 months away, less than 2 months. That's not happening. So
Yeah.
just gonna keep getting delayed. But yeah, we'll be playing as soon as it's safe to play. So
Right. And you're mentioning it's pretty much still on lockdown over there, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not getting any close to it, but every day is closer, I guess, to when gigs will be.
Yeah, for sure.
So
You
we
know,
only passed a year since our last gig. I think our last gig was like the 20th of March last year. So it's been a while.
yeah. Yeah, time flies. So, just to get you to know a little bit more musical background from you, whether if Luke, if you want to start off, for yourself musically, did you start off as in playing bass, or did you start off with a different instrument? And did you ever take any musical classes or theory or anything like that to where now you're able to do these songs?
Good question. So I'm primarily self-taught, but that being said, when I was kind of 16 or 17, I did get some lessons in jazz, which expanded my musical horizons quite a lot. But I started playing bass and bass only because I just loved Steve Harris and Flea when I was a kid, and I was kind of like, well, these two guys um, stand out and are actually cooler than the guitarist. Well, I mean, it's kind of harder to be cooler than John Frusciante, but you take my point. And then from that, I sort of, got into, liking Jaco Pastorius and Primus and Cliff Burton and Mudvayne and all these bands with like awesome bassing. And then I've pretty much consistently just tried to be the best bass player I can be, really. And try and be as a studious student of the bass game, and try and learn Dream Theater and Rush songs, which will always make you better. So yeah, you know,
Yeah, perfect
that's my
examples.
background, really. Yeah, that's my background.
And for yourself, Katie?
Yeah, I started off on violin when I was like, I don't know how old I was, like 8, 9. I was playing violin for quite a while, and I did that up to grade 8, and up to you had to do grade 5 theory to do that. I've since forgotten most theory. But then when I was like 18, 19, I had like a really cheap acoustic guitar that I couldn't really play. I wanted to play like it was really bad as well, so you couldn't really play anything on it anyway. And I wanted to learn Deaf Heaven songs, so I bought an electric guitar and got a couple lessons. I'd like maybe like 7 or 8 lessons to learn like the basics, and then sort of taught myself the rest trying to learn Converge songs and Deaf Heaven songs and Dillinger Escape Plan songs, which to this day I can play like 3 Dillinger Escape Plan songs. They're still way too hard. I don't know why people compare us. Like, I love them and I'd wish to be writing like them, but I just feel like the level of technicality in their stuff versus ours is like, I feel like we're pretending to be technical when it's actually just caveman riffs played very fast. We're a lot closer to Converge in like technique, where Converge is like songs that sound really technical but are actually quite easy to play. And our songs are, a lot of them sound a lot more technical than they are. Like, people say Wounds is like a marvel of technicality and ridiculous, and I'm like, that's the most straightforward song on the album possibly. It's like 4 notes.
It must be said, Kate has quite a skewed view on all of this, though. So take what she says with a pinch of salt. I will say that they are quite difficult. As a kind of normal musician, who didn't just, mainline straight into Converge and Dillinger and Death Heaven. As someone, that's from, I guess, more of an old school path of getting into metal, which is true of Josh as well, the drummer. He's more, into the Who and Led Zeppelin when he was a kid, and then got into kind
Probably
of
harder
metal,
to play than them. Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, so I sort of agree with Kate, but not entirely on that
Yeah.
issue.
But I mean, that even though people are saying it's still got to be a compliment, even if you don't consider yourself at that high technicality to where I guess people see the potential that you have brewing there. And then album 2 and 3, of course, that way down the line is going to be that.
I've got stuff on album 2 that is actually like, I look at and I'm like, I can't play that. I've written many parts on album 2, which I'm like, that's future me's problem. But it sounds cool when I tab it out. So
Future us.
future us.
Slicer problem.
Future slice problem.
Likewise, I've done that with some of the bass parts, and I listened back recently and went,
Oh, the ones I got you to write, and then you're like, Oh, why did I do this?
Went to town on them, and then you listen and go, why am I my worst enemy?
But I think that's sort of how we approach writing, at least as well on the first LP. It was like, write whatever sounds the coolest, disregard whether it's going to be playable, because I'm sure it can be playable. It's just with enough practice, we'll figure that out later. So yeah, just writing the best song we can. So I think that's a big thing as well. Like, there's a lot of bands that do technicality for the sake of technicality, and I think that's like the opposite of what I'm doing here, where I'm like trying to write the coolest sounding thing possible. And if that means it's going to be really hard to play, it's really hard to play. And if that means it's going to be easy to play but sounds complicated and hard, then it's easy to play and sounds more complicated than it is. Like,
Yeah. Now, for you, Luke, whenever Kate sends you any, clips of songs that she's working on, do you think, WTF, what is she doing to me?
It's a mixture of excitement and dread. So yeah, a nervousness at let's see what's behind the curtain, and then when the curtain's revealed, it's like, how big is the monster that has to be slain? Yeah, that surmises it quite nicely.
Yeah.
Excitement and nervousness.
Yeah. But that's going to be, whether if it's challenging, there's still going to be something that exciting to where it's going to push you to grow as a musician as well. Y'all are pushing each other to grow.
That's a very good point. And it's I'll say, because you mentioned that when I joined the band was a lot more just, I would say, like old school, like grindcore focused. And as Kate has said many times, kind of like old school carcass worship, but like grindy carcass, not like mellow carcass. But so I joined because I sort of thought, I can just drink 4 cans of beer and just mindlessly attack my bass with a pick, this is not a knock at any grind bass players at all. It's like, just do that and just shout again mindlessly backing vocals. And then I joined, and then Kate, her MO changed, and it was kind of, oh, this guy can actually hang with all this weird stuff that I'm going to write. So full steam ahead. Let's now become the most technical band we can, and I can realise my vision to be the crazy mathcore monster that the album is, and the band currently are.
Yeah. And one person that's not with us right now is Josh. I mean, to have a drummer like that, to be able to fill those parts as well as, as the background, has got to be a plus too, to where everybody can play off each other and everybody can grow together and y'all can push into new directions.
Totally, man. Josh has very good. He's got very good selection of types of beats to put where, because I've seen in quite a few reviews actually. They've said that the drumming should be applauded, because quite a lot of the time you just straight blast over a lot of this. Josh, I think, has a very intuitive and intellectual approach to where he pulls his punches, and then when it's time to groove, and then also when it's time to just be more like a straight up.
For a math grind album, there's not actually very many blast beats.
No,
there's enough blast beats to let you know.
Blast, don't get that wrong.
Oh, the boy can blast, yeah.
Blast.
He can blast till the donkeys come home. That's not the phrase.
Yeah. Everything about this album, I think each one of you as a unit has brought something that it's pretty amazing, and it's just testament to all these reviews coming out, even though right now it's maybe shocking for you as the band, that all these praises that you're getting, but I think what those people are seeing, the reviewers are seeing, is this great potential, and this album that all of y'all have been able to put together is quite a feat.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The above.
So, almost getting to the end of our interview here, besides picking up the vinyls, which I've seen that you got a select few just left of a few color variants. Besides picking up those, of course, ordering stuff, directly from the band, what else can maybe fans be doing right now to kind of help support you and kind of spread the word of Pupil Slicer?
Uh, we've not got. Wait. Let's share it with your friends. Uh, like
Tell a friend. Tell a friend.
tell a friend to listen. I don't know.
Buy a tape.
We,
Buy a CD.
oh yeah, we've got tapes and CDs as well as like a bit of vinyl. We've got a second pressing of vinyl coming relatively soon when these are out. Because I think we're down to like the last 30-ish overall on vinyl, and then someone asked like there's like 40 of, and then that's the first 1,000 gone, and we won't be doing those colours again. We've got a new run of shirts coming relatively soon. Still waiting on that, like in a week or two, new designs hopefully.
And start planning the Slicer summer collection.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, just follow the pages, listen to us, get the Spotify numbers up.
Yeah. Yeah, and get those. I'll say it now. Get those vinyls while you can, because I'm sure they'll become collector's items.
Hey.
This is probably time to get in on the first pressing. Yeah,
That's right.
Almost done.
Yeah, because once we get to album 4 and 5, those are going to be rare. You're not going to be able to find those.
Yeah, you put them on Discogs for like 200 quid.
Awesome. Well, before we finish up, I want to, of course, thank you for your time, Kate, Luke. Thank you very much for the insight that you gave me about this album. I mean, like I said, yesterday I listened to it at least 3 times. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And y'all deserve all the praise that you're getting, because you're making some excellent noise that is very much needed for the music fans out there.
It's excellent noise. Thank you.
Excellent.
Excellent noise. Do you mind me asking you what you kind of took away from the album?
For the most part, I'm still absorbing it, because, like I said, I'm still, every time every time that I've listened to it, I pick up something different. But I feel that you've been able to take different parts of your favorite music and not replicate it, but that's kind of an influence, build off of it, but also trying to create your own sound. But what I really enjoy most is how raw it is, and to where it's not, you don't have like all this computerized noise trying to muffle stuff or make it sound something like it's not. It's more organic feeling, and it has a lot of emotion to it, and that's what I like. I mean, when I heard the first song, the first thing, I was like, holy shit! It's like, okay, I want to listen to more. I mean, and there's not a whole lot of albums that can do that.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Sure, not a problem. So before we finish up, anything else that you would like to promote? Any last parting words before we close for this evening?
I'm bad at this bit. Not really got anything else. No side projects or. Yeah.
If I may save Kate while she's dying on air, I would just say just thank you to anyone that checked out the album and continues to. The praise is unexpected, but as I said, madly appreciated. And yeah, just keep checking it out. And yeah, just get in contact with us and let us know how you found the album or what you enjoy about it. I mean, if people could let us know specifically what they want for album 2, that would be good. So we can fulfill that criteria. So that would be useful. But yeah, in all seriousness, yeah, just thank you to everyone that's checked out the album.
And let us know what you want on album 2, so I can completely disregard that and do what I want anyway. Everyone will hate it.
Yeah, with your fantasy lyrics.
Yeah, with a high fantasy power metal album that's coming.
Yeah.
Let's send you over some Hammerfall to get the juices going. I like Hammerfall, by the way. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
oh yeah, for sure. And I'll completely get it. Well, Luke, Kate, again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I wish you the best, and I'm sure you're gonna get everything and then some. And I can't wait to see what else is next. I mean, I can wait personally because I still have this your mirrors to chew over. Just take your time.
Your kind way. Have us on again and cheers, man. I appreciate it. I've
Yeah,
enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
it's happening.
Thank you. Me too. Y'all have a good evening. Appreciate it.
You too, man.
Have a good day.
Talk
Bye.
to
Good
you
night.
later.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.